Hi, you're watching CAN TV Veterans Issues on Thursday night. This is Channel 21. We're here once a month. We're here every Thursday with one of the Veterans Issues Consortium on CAN TV to talk about all things veterans related. My name is Carol Williams. I'm an Army veteran. I am representing an organization called the United States Veterans Art Program. We're a Chicago-based nonprofit organization, and our mission is to increase the representation of veterans in the arts community. We do this by a couple of different ways. One is by coming on to CAN TV here to introduce you to a local veteran who is an artist in the Chicago area or anywhere from the United States, doing any medium of art. Tonight we have a filmmaker who is still going to Columbia College and is going to show us a clip tonight of his work. Our other activities include presenting and donating resources to VA hospitals for their recreation therapy departments. The recreation therapist can ask for different types of resources. We've donated a lot of musical instruments. We've donated some cameras, some computers, a lot of art supplies. Recreation therapy in your VA, if you are registered at a VA, can include any number of activities that you may feel that you would like to pursue. It's done in several different ways. Some therapists use it as therapy, others as occupational therapy, others as a way to continue something that you may have wanted to do previously. We've visited at least 12 different VA medical centers throughout the country and have worked with recreation therapy. It includes sometimes art therapy, sometimes music therapy. If you're registered here in Chicago, go to the Jesse Brown VA Medical Center and ask to have a referral for recreation therapy department. And I think that you will be pleasantly surprised. They have 4 to 5 different recreation therapists on staff. They go all throughout the hospital. They have activities that they do. And I think that you would, again, be pleasantly surprised. As the United States Veterans Art Program, what we do is support them, but we also are artists ourselves. And throughout the years, we've found that it's a good way to say anything that you may want to say in a different way, in sometimes ways that you can't otherwise express yourselves or get people to understand what you're talking about. We do have a website. I'm going to go to our overhead and show you our website here. We are the United States Veterans Art Program. Our email is admin@usvap.org. Our phone number, if you'd like to call, is 312-360-9117. Website, please go to our website, www.usvap.org, and see what it is that we're doing, and see how you might want to fit into that. Right now we're going to talk to Peter Bowse, and we're going to bring Peter on here. He magically appeared next to me on the camera. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Peter, and he's going to tell you the rest. You're originally from Massachusetts.
Yes.
And we're not sure exactly how you ended up in Chicago, but I think we'll figure that it had something to do with Columbia College.
That's correct. Yeah.
Started off in Massachusetts and went into the Air Force for 4 years.
Yes.
Did a place in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which tells me that you were prepared for the cold weather of Chicago.
Yes. I was very used to the cold weather when I moved to Chicago. It was no surprise to me. North Dakota is much colder.
Right, and they probably taught you a little bit also about being prepared for outdoor cold weather, being in the service.
Oh yes, I still have all my cold weather gear from North Dakota as well.
Well, how long has it been since you've been out of the military?
It's been just over 5 years now, actually.
Okay, so you did 4 years in the Air Force, and you worked on, let me make sure I can remember this. I have to refer to my notes. Aircraft avionics.
Avionics.
Yes. Avionics.
Yes, I was a electrician, not an electrician, but a electronics engineer on tanker aircraft, specifically KC-135 aircraft.
And you were in North Dakota at the Grand Forks base?
Yes, yes.
Is it pretty remote up there?
It is, yes, but in the same time, it's not as remote as, say, Minot Air Force Base is.
Oh, right.
It's closer to Fargo, so you have a few more things to do up there. So it wasn't too bad, actually.
Well, you decided to go into the Air Force for what reason? You were out of high school in Worcester or in Massachusetts?
In Massachusetts. Both of my parents were in the Air Force. My father was an officer in the Air Force, so that definitely had some influence. I mainly wanted to travel. I was very interested in the education benefits. But I was looking for a new experience to try and figure out what I wanted out of education before actually jumping into college.
So your parents obviously were supportive of your decision to go in.
Very supportive, yes.
Okay, and that meant that you didn't have to ask your veteran, Air Force veteran parents for any college money either.
Oh, no, yeah. that took care of itself, thankfully.
Well, I think a lot of people have indicated that their motivation to go into the service was the education benefits. I know I finished several degrees with both while I was in the Army and then with my Illinois Veterans Grant once I was out. And one of the things that we do like to talk about when we're on this show is we're assuming that people who are watching may be veterans who have benefits that perhaps they haven't tapped into yet. So we do like to remind people that we're a call-in show. If you look on your screen, you see the number 312-738-1060. And you can call in and either ask a question about what we're talking about tonight, a question about his experience with his use of his benefits, which he's doing right now, actually, or a question about what we're getting ready to see. He's brought a clip of a film that he's completed several years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
It was almost a year ago, actually, that I completed this film.
So you got out of the Air Force, and then you did a couple of years at a junior college near Massachusetts.
Yes, just a local state college using my GI Bill benefits. When I got out of the Air Force, I looked into the health administration career field, doing some medical billing work, and I ended up going for a associate's degree in health management because it seemed it was a career field that I was and still am very interested in. But shortly, once I completed that, the post 9/11 GI Bill, the Chapter 33 benefits kicked in, which allowed for expanded coverage of tuition and fees into all schools, not just state schools, which gave me a huge benefit to be able to come out to Chicago and study at Columbia College.
So you're studying at Columbia, and you're studying
film. Yes, it's concentration in screenwriting, which is what most interests me, but also a little bit of directing here and there, hopefully to cross both of them together.
Anything that you can take, I'm sure,
yes.
is what you would love to do.
Yes.
You mentioned that when you were a teenager, you were inspired by some of these Stanley Kubrick films?
Actually, Stanley Kubrick was the first director whose films that I saw that really inspired just this want and this need to become a filmmaker. And you know, since then I've just looked at all the great directors, Ingmar Bergman, Woody Allen, and just amazing visual artists and storytellers as well. And that's what I realized I wanted to do.
Well, it's an amazing thing that you can go to a college and be able to pursue what you like to do. This is Peter Bowse, and we're going to show you a photo of Peter when he was in the Air Force there. A little bit of difference. Let's see if we can go back and forth here. This is Peter today, and this is Peter in the Air Force. It's actually a very beautiful photo.
Yes, thank you.
Very nice. I'm sure your parents probably have that one still sitting somewhere in their fireplace.
Oh, they
here.
definitely do. Yes.
Yeah, that's a nice photo. Is that coming in or going out?
That was actually coming in.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. So that would be, let's see, if you've been out for 5 years, that would be about 9 years ago?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you came in right after 9/11 then?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh.
It was shortly thereafter.
So were you expecting something other than what you ended up doing when you went in? I mean, were you expecting to be sent overseas?
No, not necessarily. I'd been expecting to travel to overseas locations, but not anything extensive or very dangerous. And that's what ended up happening as I traveled to Qatar for deployment. And it was a very interesting experience. It was very hot, and
Yeah.
but it was a good learning experience, and
Wow.
and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do that. And I also went on a deployment to Spokane, Washington, which was equally
Also
as
hot.
interesting. Yeah, a little bit difference in weather, but
Yeah, I've been to Spokane, Washington. I was at Fort Lewis.
Oh, very
So, yeah, Fort Lewis with the 9th Infantry Division. Tell us a little bit about the clip that we're going to watch.
The clip is from a short film that I did entitled Farewell. It's a very dreamlike film. I was originally going for an homage to Stanley Kubrick with the idea, although with filmmaking, your original vision doesn't always equal what the final product will become. And what you'll end up seeing is actually more comparable to David Lynch than it is Stanley Kubrick. But I still think it works. I'm very proud of it, and it still fits the overall general vision I had for it. The scene is about a young man who's experiencing a dream, and it's a dream based in his paranoia and feeling of loss over a friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will tell you after we watch it, and if anyone else would like to call in and give any comments on it, how it struck me. I particularly like the fact that it didn't have any music to it. As a musician, I tend to get a little bit distracted with soundtrack. It really drew me in, made me feel like I was part of it because it doesn't have any music to it. I'm going to get that started. And how long is the actual film itself? When you say a short film, what do you mean by a short film? I mean, I know there's a definition that says how long a film has to be a short film.
Yes. Short films are generally, sometimes it depends on the festival that is judging them, but generally it's considered anything that's under 45 to 60 minutes is the average, is considered a short film. So you can have a short film that's half an hour long. The one that I did was only 7 minutes long, which is far more common. Many festivals will actually only take anywhere from 5 to 10 minute short films. So that's in Columbia College. They start you off with that time limit to help you hone your technical skill and storytelling at such a short time period.
Right.
Which is actually telling a story in that short time period is actually much more difficult.
Well, I hope that people will get sort of a good indication of what this story, what they can read into with the story. I certainly felt like I did. We're going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to get this set up to start this. And this is Peter Bowse with a short film, a clip from a short film called Farewell. And that's a clip from Peter Bowse, a film called Farewell.
Yes.
Now, I felt absolutely, when I watched this the first time, I felt like it was me walking around. And it was, I had this very eerie feeling that I had just woken up from something that was basically a pretty negative scenario. It certainly wasn't something happy.
Mm-hmm.
That that I really desperately needed to get oriented again, and didn't know which way to go, but finally was able to make my way back out to reality, and looking at reality, sort of get reacquainted with, okay, this is the planet that I'm from, and this is something that I'm familiar with. It was familiar to me because it looks like a Chicago alley, and you see the L going over there, and it's very reassuring.
Yes.
You don't see anybody in the L. You don't see any people, but you assume that there are other people around, and that they're doing their jobs, and that they're going about a daily routine that's very dependable and very human-like, even though you don't see any people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of the thing that I really liked about it. I don't sense that the person in this movie is particularly feeling a whole lot better after having gone out and seen, okay, I'm still living, and it's still the planet, and it's still familiar. It's as if he has to go back in and reprocess all this, and there's still this job that has to be done of getting rid of whatever the darkness
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is actually, and that's actually not the end of the dream sequence itself. There's actually a little bit more that goes on, but that is a good point. I like the idea of not necessarily dreams having any sort of deep meaning, but that they're more just a combination of all the elements of our lives and the elements of our subconscious as well, just creating this big mash in our brains while we sleep, and so there's an element of reality and an element of unreality in there as well. That just it becomes something familiar and something wholly different at the same time.
Well, have you, I know that you said that you liked to work with things that were surreal and dreamlike. Any thoughts on how does this connect to PTSD, PTSD therapy, PTSD experiences? I guess I looked at it knowing that you were a veteran. I don't necessarily think that there was any agenda with the film, but it certainly made me think of that this has to be a metaphor for how it feels to come back from something that is basically something that you have to go work towards the light, as we say.
Oh yes, definitely. And that's certainly another good point. One of my all-time favorite films is a film called Jacob's Ladder, which deals with that very subject, and it does a very good job of showing a veteran who's trying to integrate himself back into the world, but is feeling these just really surreal visions that he can't separate what he sees, what his mind shows him, and what is there in actuality.
Right. How do you distinguish which one is real?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think when it comes to dreamlike filmmaking, that's what I like to see. I like to see the combination of the real and the unreal, and realizing that it's a process you have to work through, and it's not something that will make sense to anyone who is not experiencing it.
Well, do we have a caller that is that would like to ask? Do you have a question for Peter or a comment on the film? Caller? Hello, are you there?
Yes, I didn't have I'm just tuned in. I'm not sure what film he's talking about, But as far as dreams are concerned,
Yes.
I dream in color, and they are really weird sometimes. They make no sense, but they overlap, like several situations coming together. I do remember the film he just mentioned, Jacob's Ladder. Still, what I've been finding, a lot of us, especially old vets, Vietnam vets, kind of like didn't get any help initially when we first came out and was finding out how many issues we really have.
Right. Are you a Vietnam veteran?
Yes.
Are you registered at Jesse Brown?
Oh, yes.
Did you say yes?
Yes.
Have you ever gone to their recreation therapy department?
No, I haven't gone to the recreation therapy department, but I was in North Chicago with the CSD. May
Well,
and June.
How did you feel about the film clip? Did you see anything in the film clip that reminded you of you?
I didn't see the film clip. I just tuned in.
We would love for you to have seen the film clip. It was just 90 seconds long. Well, we're actually running short of time here, and I hope you tune in with us next month when we're going to be back. Unfortunately, we won't be back with Peter, but we're the United States Veterans Art Program. Do we have another caller? Real quick, if we can do this in 40 seconds. We'll go on ahead and see if we have a caller that will be able to talk about what it is that we're doing with veterans in the arts. Do you have any other friends at Columbia, students at Columbia that are veterans?
Actually, my brother Justin just moved to Chicago from Massachusetts. He was a Marine and served in the Marine Corps band, and he's attending Columbia for music performance.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, we'll have to look out for him.
Certainly.
We're going to have to sign off. You can get to us with our website if you'd like. I'm going to show that to you again. My name is Carol Williams. This is Peter Bowse. Thank you so very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me on.